Most students think their story is what they've accomplished. But that's not your story. Your story is the pattern that runs underneath what you've accomplished. The small moments that keep showing up. The reasons you do what you do that you probably haven't ever named out loud. Here's why that distinction matters right now. Colleges aren't reading your application to find out what you've done. They can find that on the activities list in 2 minutes. They're reading to find out what kind of person you've become because of what you've done. That's a different question, and it has a different answer. This week, we'll find yours. Hi, I'm Dr. Heather Case, and this is week 3 of Stressed Out to Stand Out. Week 1 was the foundation. Week 2 is the compass. This week, we'll be looking at the path you've already been walking, even if you didn't realize you were walking it. This is one of my favorite weeks in the whole series, so stick with me. In psychology, there's an idea called narrative identity. It's the theory that stories you tell about yourself don't just describe you, they shape you. So if you tell yourself, I'm the kid who always quits when things get hard, that becomes the story you keep proving. Your brain looks for evidence and it will find it. But if you tell yourself, I'm the kid who figures things out even when it takes a while, same mechanism. You find the evidence for that story too. The good news is you get to choose which story you're proving. The catch is you have to notice what story you're already telling, and most students never stop to look. Here's the thing about where stories actually come from. They're rarely built on big moments. Big moments are dramatic, but they're not where character comes from. Character is built in small moments. The conversation in the kitchen at 10 o'clock at night. The time you stayed after class to ask a question nobody else would ask. The book you read 3 times. The afternoon you helped your neighbor with their yard and didn't accept any payment. The argument with a friend that you replayed for a week afterward because something in it felt unfinished. Those are the bricks. The essay you'll write someday, the one that gets you somewhere you actually want to be, is built from those. So this week we stop looking for the dramatic stories. We start looking for the small ones. And I promise you they're already there. Here's how I'd walk you through this if we were sitting across from one another. Open your journal and draw 3 columns. In the first column, list 10 things you've done in the past year. Not impressive things, just real things. Conversations, decisions, small acts, moments where something shifted. The day you sat with a friend who was crying and didn't know what to say, but you stayed anyway. The time you stayed up too late helping a sibling with a project that wasn't even due until the next week, but they were scared they weren't going to get it done on time. The book you couldn't stop talking about. The hard text message you finally sent. In the second column, for each one, write 1 sentence about why it mattered to you. Not why it looks good, not why it would sound like an essay, why it mattered to you specifically. And then in the third column, look across the whole list. What word keeps showing up? What kind of moment keeps repeating? Is there a thread connecting more than one of them? That thread is your story, or at least the version that's emerging right now. It will keep evolving. It doesn't have to be finished at 17 or 18, but it's there. It's already there. One note before we move on. Don't be surprised if the pattern is something quiet, something that doesn't look impressive at first glance. Quiet patterns make the best essays. The readers who've been doing this for 10 years, they're hoping for the quiet one. So let me tell you about a student I'll call Diego. Diego came to me convinced he had nothing to write about. His exact words were, I'm not a leader, I haven't done anything big, I'm just a normal kid from a common family. We don't do anything exciting. His mom was an immigrant from Mexico. He'd grown up translating for her at doctor's offices, at parent-teacher conferences, at the bank, at the DMV. He'd been doing it since he was 8 years old. He'd never thought of it as remarkable because it was just what their family did. It was just what he did. It was how his family worked. He thought he had to write about leadership or service or a big achievement or a moment of transformation. So I asked him to do exactly what I just asked you to do. 10 small things from the past year. 1 reason each mattered. He came back with a list that included this. I sat with my abuela last winter break while she watched her favorite telenovela. She was crying because it reminded her of her sister back in Oaxaca. It was her sister's birthday that week, and my abuela hadn't celebrated with her sister in person since she left Mexico. I didn't say anything for a long time. I just sat there with her and held her hand until she stopped crying. When I asked him why that mattered, he was quiet for a second and then he said, and I'm quoting him directly, because nobody had asked her if she was okay all week. That sentence became the first line of his college essay. Not the day he won an award, not the day he was elected to anything, not a turning point or a crisis or a revelation. A Tuesday afternoon on a couch with his grandmother. He got into his top choice school. The admissions reader who admitted him wrote one word in the margin of his essay: beautiful. Diego wasn't a better writer than other students. He wasn't a more impressive applicant. He was more honest. He found a small moment and he let it be the story. So I have 3 assignments for you this week. None of them require you to write your essay. We're just gathering bricks. 1, open your journal, do the 3-column exercise, 10 real things from the past year, why each mattered, and what pattern you notice when you look across the list. That's number 1. Number 2, pick one of those moments, the one that surprises you or the one that's smaller than you expected yourself to choose, and write 5 more sentences about it. Don't edit, don't make it sound good, just see what comes out when you go deeper on that one moment. 3, don't share this with anyone yet. Not your parents, not your best friend, not your counselor, not anyone. Stories grow better when we leave them alone, before they're exposed to feedback and expectations. We will bring other voices in during week 17 when we start the personal statement, but for now, this is yours. And one more thing. You're not behind if you don't have a clear story yet. The point of this week is to start listening for one, not to arrive at one. The listening is the work. So before we close, I want to share one observation. Look at the moments you wrote down. Notice how many of them involved another person. Notice how few of them happened in a classroom or on a sports field or at a competition. Most of who you actually are has been built in the in-between moments. The moments with other people that didn't make it onto your resume because they happened too quietly. You are far more interesting than you think. You're more thoughtful than your transcript shows. You've lived more than your activities list captures. You're allowed to write about the quiet stuff. The reader at your top choice school is hoping you will. They've read 1,000 essays about team captaincy and missions trips, but they haven't read your story yet. So next week, week 4, we will talk about something nobody in admissions content talks about honestly: well-being, sustainable success, and what you actually do when the stress starts running your nervous system. As a licensed mental health counselor, this is one of the weeks I most need you to watch, not just as a student, but as a person. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and if this video helped, send it to one person. But before you go, I want to remind you of something very important. You are so much more than your application. Your worth isn't measured by acceptance letters or rejection emails. I want you to know that your story matters. Tell it honestly, tell it bravely, and know that I am always here cheering you on. See you next week.